Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Australian Cricket Report, where we bring you all the news and views on everything Australian cricket. Let's see what made the news this week. Former England captain Andrew Strauss has his say on how the Aussies will fare in the upcoming Ashes series. Steve Smith, Aaron Finch and Mitch Marsh excel in their 2020 hitouts. And George Bailey and Eddie Cowan continue to shine in England. All that and more coming up on this week's episode of the Australian Cricket Report. Joining me today in the studio is Mr. Adam Bloch, the man who single-handedly revolutionised the game of indoor cricket through the use of his tandem tweak policy for the third batting pair. Adam, thank you so much for your time, mate. It's great to have you here.
Mate, thank you for having me. I can't agree with that humble introduction, but I'd like to say that I do have a love for the art of finger spin, that's for sure.
Well, look, who doesn't? Let's be honest, mate. Moving along to some news that's happening in the world of Australian cricket. Former England captain Andrew Strauss has come out in the news and said that he thinks Australia's going to put up a fight, but not for reasons you might think. He said their bowling attack is good enough, but the batsmen are nowhere near international standard. Do we agree? Do we disagree? Is that a fair comment?
Look, I do. I think Andrew Strauss is spot on the money. He's probably, since stepping back from the Test arena, he's probably had a bit more time to take in what's happening in Australian cricket, and he can probably see that our batsmen aren't handling the swinging ball too well, whether it be early swing, late swing, reverse swing. They don't seem to adjust to it too well, and we're walking into 5 tests that are going to use the Duke in terms of the old ball that likes to swing around, but B are going to be perfect for swing bowling. So, and I mean, in the Pond lineup, they've got the guys like Broad, Finn, Tremlett, etc., that can move the ball around. Not to mention James Anderson.
Absolutely, very good swing bowlers there. Mate, in other news, Steve Smith, Aaron Finch and Mitch Marsh. Now, as much as I hate to talk about T20 on this show, I'm going to make an exception. They've all hit a bit of form in the IPL. Now, is this going to make them force their way back into the Ashes touring squad? I, for one, hope not. What are your thoughts, mate?
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. There is a massive difference between 2020 cricket and 5-day cricket. So, and to think that we would go into an Ashes series with the thought of blooding an Aaron Finch or giving Steve Smith his 4th recall, I think would be stupid. I don't think they've got the technique nor the temperament to hold down an end for a day or a day and a half, which is certainly what Australia needs in their top order.
Now, Blocky, you've mentioned the option the Australian cricket hierarchy have had and have used recently in the Australian cricket team of blooding young batsmen. We've seen it with Steve Smith. We're seeing it again with Phil Hughes. Whether or not he's cemented his position is still, in my opinion, up in the air. What does someone like Usman Khawaja have to do to get himself a run in the team? Well,
look, we can't say play for New South Wales because he left them, and and you look at the team now. There's not too many Blues in there, but look, through sheer weight of runs, he should be there. He's in my 11 if I was to pick it today, and if I had a say, and. I mean, the blokes moved up to Queensland and just poured them on. So on all decks, in all conditions, against all sorts of attacks. So I can't see what's holding him back, and I certainly think he should be there. He's playing some great cricket at the moment.
Absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree more. Moving along now, George Bailey and Steady Eddie Cowan have both been making runs for their respective English county teams. Now, will this weight of runs see, first of all, Steady Eddie retain his place at the top, because there have been calls for Shane Watson to move up the order? And secondly, could we see George Bailey filling in the hole left by Mike Hussey in the middle order?
Well, you'd like to think so. You'd like to think there was that thought process going through selectors' minds that you've got 2 blokes over there that again have what's seen one proven and one you would suspect in Bailey that has the temperament for Test cricket. They're in the conditions. They're making good runs against good quality attacks. You certainly can't take anything away from county cricket and their bowling attacks. They select from all over the world, and I'd like to think that Cowan has cemented his spot. He values his wicket at the top, and in George Bailey, you get experience and you get a cool head on big shoulders to hold the middle order together to avoid any potential collapse, obviously.
Absolutely, and my mind goes back to the one-day series that just occurred in Australia over the summer, and I believe one of the one days George Bailey came in where we were quite a few out for not many, and he held the innings together, and we ended up getting up in that based on
West Indies in Perth.
That's the one.
Exactly.
That's the one,
and not many, and left with 125 to his name. So he held the bat well and definitely held the innings together well.
We are short on players who can bat and bat and bat. But, mate, look, anyway, let's move it along. I'm going to open the floor to you, Adam.
Good.
What are your thoughts on Australian cricket? Give me some of your points where that you'd like to discuss.
Mate, I thank you for the invite to open the forum. I'd like to discuss the rotation policy. I'll get straight to it. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I think, especially from a bowling perspective, I mean, if we look at the Australian summer, we didn't tend to rotate batsmen too much, which was clear given that Usman didn't really play much cricket. But we were just shopping through bowlers, and in particular the quick bowlers. I think, I know Mickey Arthur mentioned very, very early on and very obviously that he wants a paddock of fast bowlers. But at what point do you tie down to your best 11 and let those fast bowlers learn about tying down and then building pressure, bowling spells and coming up with 5 or 6 different balls and ways to create a wicket? I think there's a big difference between net bowling and pitch bowling. So
you're 100% right there. I mean, well, yeah. if we have a look at the bowlers that are at Australia's disposal now, and you know, we are spoilt for choice. You've got to remember people like, you know, Ryan Harris. He bowled the house down in the Shield finals, almost single-handedly taking Queensland to the title. And then you got to look on the other end of the spectrum. You got Jackson Bird, who's been thrown into the Test arena, and let's be honest, he hasn't really put a foot wrong, and he's done very well. Yep. Both of those blokes will probably struggle to get on the plane to England, and both of those blokes could very well be, you know, have every right to be very upset that they're not on that plane.
I find it interesting that through the rotation and the whole science behind it, it's not really a proven science. I mean, you get better. It's a job, and you get better at your job by performing your job, and their job is to take wickets in Test matches. Now, if they're carrying drinks in Test matches, a la Mitch Starc in the Boxing Day Test, I mean, it's just, and it showed when we toured India. Conditions were tough, conditions weren't to our liking, and our quicks certainly suffered.
You would think that the rotation policy would occur for the entire team if the entire team isn't performing, yet our better performing bowlers are being rotated out. But look, we could talk all day on that. I also don't agree with it. Let's move on. I believe you have the first Ashes Test team according to Adam Bloch. This is what the crowd wants, Blocky. What have you got for me?
I do. Following on from your lovely report last week and the 11 put forward by Maitcha, who I do agree has the best cover drive in cricket. My 11 from 1 through, I have Cowan, Warner, Hughes, Clark, Khawaja, Bailey. Keeping, I've got either of Wade, Payne or Hartley. I think you can take your pick. Siddle, Pattinson, and then spinning, you can have Lyon or O'Keefe, one or the other. And then I've actually got either of Jackson Bird or Ryan Harris as at number 11. And then touring, we'll take a spare keeper. So, again, take your pick from the 3. We'll take a second spinner. So if you've picked O'Keefe, we'll take Lyon. And then I think we'll take Stark, Cummins and Faulkner. I don't have a place for Hilfenhaus. He won't be getting a ticket. And I'll take Watson to tour, but he's not in my starting 11. I think what showed over in India definitely was that Watson's a 4 or nothing batsman. He doesn't seem to be rotating the strike too well. He's planting that front foot at the moment and seems to be a bit lumberjack style. So I think, again, against the swinging ball, we need to be able to noodle a single or 2 behind square. I don't think he can do it, and so I don't have him in my top 6.
Look, I have to agree with you there, Blocky. Shane Watson, for me, hasn't done enough with the bat in the last year to warrant an automatic walk-up place to anywhere in the top 6, let alone reinstating to the top of the order. I mean, he's the vice-captain. He was touted as, you know, the next big thing, and let's be honest, his results just haven't stacked up.
Spot on. And if he's not going to bowl, which seems to be the case, I think he loses a big bow to his armoury, because, I mean, you can't average tick over 30 and think that you warrant to walk out there in the baggy green. I just don't see it happening. And if he's not going to take wickets, and that adds weight for me personally. If we're not going to pick Watson in my team, I think that adds weight to having George Bailey at 6. As we spoke about, there's experience there, there's a calm head there, and there's the Australian one day and 2020 backup captain. So, I mean, I think he's a walk-up vice-captain, and albeit debut, that may be a bit controversial for some, but I think in situations like this we make adjustments where necessary.
Absolutely, and I think one point you touched on there that hasn't really got much of a run, there is a lack of experience, but not just on-field experience, captaincy experience, decision-making experience in the Australian Test setup. Michael Clarke, in my opinion, has done a fantastic job as captain since he's come into it. He's taken over from, in my opinion, the best batsman that Australia's ever produced, and who is obviously a very strong personality in the dressing room. And he's made this team his own. And when you take that leadership away from this current team, geez, it didn't look very good in the last test in India.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, you're spot on there, and we need a couple of older heads up there, and you go right the way through it. Cowan's written a biography, and he's only played a handful of tests. I mean, the bloke's still a young fella. Warner, Hughes, Khawaja, Wade even. I mean, if they're all going to get a run, they're young boys. Sure, they may have a lot of cricket under their belt, but it's not that top-level cricket, and it's certainly not at the level or intensity of an Ashes series over in England.
Absolutely. I cannot remember the last time Australian team lacked the depth of leadership that we do now. And quite frankly, in my opinion, it shows with the bat. I mean, when was the last time that you saw one of the top 6 bat out an innings? Exactly. I can't remember. Exactly. And to support you, it's not very often lately that we've seen 2 batsmen bat through a session, unless they're playing on an absolute road. I mean, guys getting to 30, getting to 40 and throwing the wicket away through lack of concentration and sort of, I mean, it just seems to be, whether it's mental weakness or whether it's just, going through the process of earning their stripes. I still think that we need experience in the team, and we need guys to help nurture young boys from 10, 20 test players through to 50 or 60. Absolutely. And look, let's be honest, the retirement of Mike Hussey has shot a massive hole in our middle order.
Correct.
I don't know if Cricket Australia was expecting that. From all reports, they weren't. But you know what? You've got to prepare for things like that when you've got a 30-something-year-old bloke. Yeah. They can go at any time, and the forward planning is not being good enough. No, you're spot on. And that's why I feel that the best replacement for Mike Hussey is Usman Khawaja. So I've just gone straight Hussey for Khawaja at 5. I don't know. I don't understand why that didn't happen straight away, but you know what? That must be a little bit above my pay grade. Adam Bloch, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there, mate. I do have a feeling you may get another call up to the show. Look forward to it. I do appreciate your time, mate. We haven't been able to cover the state of spin in Australian cricket. I'm sure that's an entire season's worth of episodes to itself. Day. We could go for hours. Oh, please. Mate, thank you for your time. I do appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Absolute pleasure. No worries. That's about all we have time for on this week's episode. Tune in same time, same place next week. I'm Victor Tharano, and remember, just give it a chance.